Tigercast fans, sometimes in life, people or places or organisations give you second chances, and you don't often sometimes expect these second chances to roll around, but when they do, they're bloody exciting, and today, this is what that video is all about. The Cody Walker race is back on. Would never have thought I'd be sitting here making another video about Cody Walker, but here we are. Obviously, not long ago, Cody did nominate Carlton as his choice of destination via the father-son method, and we made plenty of videos about Cody in the lead up, informing everybody that Richmond had been putting in a power of work to try and convince him to pick us via NGA, but also acknowledging that we always felt that the father-son ties were going to be too strong and would prevail in the end, which is what happened, despite some Carlton supporters out there trying to troll us and saying that we said something completely different, which, by the way, we're still waiting for your proof of, so hit me up and tag me on Twitter when you find that. But no, he made the choice that we all thought he would make, the father-son choice to the Blues. But maybe the power of work that Richmond put into him over all his time in the academy, maybe it's not gone to waste. It's now a live chance again, probably will be a live chance again, with the AFL coming in and launching a raft of whole new bans and lockouts, proposing it anyway, for the father-son and NGA picks for 2026. The timing of this is quite unbelievable for a lot of ways. On one hand, it's extraordinarily funny to troll Carlton that way because they've been smashing everybody ever since and pinning their great white hopes on Cody Walker, and now they may not get him. So that's funny. But on a more serious note, I actually do think it's quite heavy-handed if the proposed, cuts that they want to put in do go ahead. So what's been floated around was a complete lockout of first round matching bids or whatever for father, son, and academy. There's been a lockout mentioned about top 5 to top 10 prospects, and I think that would be a marginally better approach. But truthfully, all jokes aside, I do think it's quite heavy-handed. And the reason why is because a lot of clubs have planned and traded and developed and done all types of stuff. They do that years ahead, right? They don't just do it year to year. So what if they change these rules in one big hit in 2026, that will impact a lot of clubs, including us. And I do think there's better ways around it. If it was me personally, I wouldn't have minded seeing, instead of having a complete lockout of the first round, maybe just remove the discount. Maybe just make sure that the clubs have to pay the fair and reasonable pick to get them. Don't let clubs go into deficit. That's always pissed me off, that rule. I guess you can see why the AFL want to change it, because some clubs, if you look at Gold Coast and Brisbane this year, who are both in finals and flying, are taking the absolute piss getting these academy players for what will end up being next to nothing and strengthening themselves even further. Brisbane also getting the Ashcroft boys while still performing at a really high level as well, and so on and so forth. But it does leave quite a few clubs like Carlton, Richmond, I think maybe Essendon and Port and Kangaroos even might be in a bit of a pickle for the next few years. So in terms of how it impacts us, we've obviously got Tanner Armstrong coming through next year as a 2026 NGA prospect. Now, he's been touted to be around a top 15, top 20 selection. So if these rules were to come into play and it locked out the full first round, that would mean that we don't get priority access to him under the NGA Academy program. He would be open slather for anyone to pick. Now, father-son wise, we've got Archie Daffy and Jack Lees, who are coming through in 2026. They're a little bit more unknown about their draft projections yet. So maybe they end up somewhere near the first round. I know Archie has really put on some good performances in the back half of the year. He's of the younger side of things as well, so he's probably going to get better as the year gets on next year too. And Jack Lees has been doing a lot of good school rep football as well and playing well for Woodville, West End Torrens. So they may creep up towards that area, which again would impact us if it does just lock out the first round. So there's definitely some impactfulness that we do need to be aware of as Richmond supporters. But the flip side is it could give us and any other club an absolute free hit to draft Cody Walker, who is probably in the top 3 players of the 2026 crop, which would be extraordinary, given that we had lost the rights to him only about 3 or 4 months ago. The other player that this is going to be very interesting for is Dougie Cochran, who is probably touted the number 1 pick or 2 for next year. He plays in South Australia, and Port Adelaide are actually trying to get him linked to their NGA Academy currently. I'm not exactly sure the premise on which they're basing their argument on, but it does seem like it's a little bit of a stretch. And even if they get it across the line, these new rules are going to supersede that and mean they don't get access anyway. So Dougie Cochran is kind of like the new Buddy Franklin, if that makes sense. A really dynamic forward. He's kicking goals at senior football level already. He's an absolute powerhouse. And he will be hotly sought after, as will Cody Walker. So when you talk about the trajectory of Richmond as a football club and where we might place in the ladder and things like that, we've made no secret, and I don't think fans would be under any other disillusion, that we're probably going to be in that bottom 4 area next year as well. Whether people like it or not, that's just the reality of where we're at football-wise. We've still got a very big gap between age group. We've got a lot of youngsters in and a lot of older players, but not a hell of a lot in between, which is where you kind of need to have that age gap. So we will probably be at the bottom end next year. And whilst not ideal from a supporter and fan perspective, if it does give us an option to have a genuine crack at a Dougie Cochran or a Cody Walker in an open draft night, that's huge. So there's a lot of ramifications with these new rules potentially coming into play. And again, truthfully, I do think it's heavy-handed. As funny as I think it will be for Carlton to lose the rights to Cody Walker, it does impact a lot of other clubs, including us. So what I'm wanting to know from everyone today, number one, I guess, this sounds rhetorical, but would you be happy to take Cody Walker or Dougie Cochran if we had the first couple of picks? I think the answer is yes, but I'll ask you anyway. And secondly, and most importantly, what I want to hear about is, what do you think of the proposed rules that are coming in? Again, nothing's been finalised yet. It's all just what is being put forward, but it's coming from so many different people like Caroline Wilson, Cal Toomey, Riley Beveridge, that it seems inevitable that something will happen in some capacity. But how would you like to see the rules implemented? Do you think that it's too heavy-handed to have a full-blown lockout for the first round? Would you go a more staggered approach? Would you change the discount rates or whatever else? I'm keen to hear what everyone else thinks, because there's a lot of really cool ideas out there that you all have. So chuck them in the comments below. But yeah, we'll definitely keep watching this space. The Cody Walker race could be back on, folks. We might have to dig out some old highlights or even some new highlights and run them, because we might be back within the chance, but so will 18 other clubs, depending on where they finish on the ladder. But yeah, that's the video for today. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And until next time, go Tigers.